Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 128th episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V is in the house. Please follow this show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Robbie Clayton. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Woods? Great to be back for another week. A lot to talk about today with these Olympic Games having started. So you've been watching a lot of the games?
I have, and like to your point last week, not just basketball. I've been broadening my horizons a bit, watching some other sports. So it's been really good to have something on every night after work.
I've got to say, some of the basketball games are pretty awkward times, aren't they? I'm liking sort of the 7 o'clock and 9:30 at night ones. Those ones that are, in the middle of the night are a little bit tough. But anyway, I've got to make some sacrifices.
Well, over the years, you've had a lot of things to say about the 9 Now app with the WNBL and whatnot, right? But with what's going on and the setup for this World Cup, I think your stance has changed a little bit.
Oh, they've nailed it, I've got to say. Look, I haven't really been watching Channel 9 at all, which means I've been missing Gazy commentating, which is a bit of a loss. But I think I've just been burnt with that sort of coverage in the past, and I've made that joke to, a tie game in the third quarter, and they suddenly cross over to the equestrian for 20 minutes and stuff. So the 9 Now app's been great. A little bit dull just with the one commentator, I've got to admit. Though I know someone that might have stood up and done some commentating if they'd contacted me. But you know what I mean? Just the one commentator, a little bit dull. They sort of need that little bit of a different voice. But no, it's been great. Look, no ads, really good coverage. The stats are good. You get sort of good replays after the games and stuff like that. So no, shout out to 9 Now. They've done a great job.
Nice. I can actually go in and select the sport you want to watch, and then you
100%.
can watch it on replay and stuff. So it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get on with it then. A bit of an Olympic theme today. I'm wearing the jersey of an former Olympian and yourself with the Boomers jersey. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about...
Yeah, that's good. So I'm not doing the full spiel today on this one. It's one that I've hung when I used to do the background at my old house. So it's been hanging before, but it's never been worn. I realised why when I put it on about 10 minutes ago. It barely fits, but I'll just stand up and show you the one I'm rocking today.
Yes, so for audio listeners that can't see, Robbie's wearing the Australian Boomers number 6 Andrew Bogut jersey. And it's nice to see that Andrew's had a lot to do in terms of media responsibilities during this World Cup. And
I'm liking this jersey as well. It's from the 2015, I think, Oceania series against New Zealand or something, so I'm not quite sure how I acquired this one. But yeah, I was looking for something different. I've got a couple of Paddy ones. I've got my random Damian Martin Boomers jersey. One thing I was thinking last night, Woods, probably need to get a new jersey, and you can probably guess who that one might be for the Boomers. A certain number 17.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I've got to get a Jack McVeigh jersey. So that might be my next jersey purchase. But
I thought maybe a Dyson Daniels would be one you'd want to
get. Possibly. Well, I'm going to be getting a Dyson Daniels Hawks jersey 1,000,000%. So maybe I'll do the Hawks Dyson Daniels and the Boomers Jack McVeigh. But yeah, I just thought I'd sort of rock this one today. I'm not going to do the full spiel about Mr. Bogut there, but liking what you're wearing. You're doing the old school Orlando Magic. So yeah, why don't you show us who you've got today?
Sure. Former Olympian, as I said.
Nice. So Woods is standing up, rocking the number 32 Shaquille O'Neal jersey. I was just checking that it wasn't Terry Catledge as well, Woods, and it was Shaquille O'Neal. So yeah, nice one.
You can see a bit of wear and tear on it. I actually got
they
this
do.
during those periods in the 90s sometimes. I think this and Lamar Odom might have been two of the early jerseys that I got. But as I mentioned a second ago, former Olympian, he won a gold medal at the 96 Atlanta Olympic Games. Going through his accolades, well, firstly, he's the first overall pick in the 92 overall first overall pick in the 92 draft. And he started off with Orlando Magic and played with the Los Angeles Lakers, Miami Heat, Phoenix Suns, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Boston Celtics. 4-time NBA champion, 3 times NBA Finals MVP, NBA's most valuable player, 15-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 8-time All-NBA First Teamer, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 4-time All-NBA Third Team, 3-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team. He was the Rookie of the Year, scoring title on many occasions. Obviously, outside of basketball, he's done a lot with regards to acting, work in the media, a DJ, a rapper. When we're watching the Olympics, we see the big man on show a little bit again. And we talk about the greatest big man in history. Shaq's name comes to mind first, right?
One thing that stands out, some amazing accolades that you read out there, was the one MVP. That's
Yep.
considering he had 8 first All NBA teams, I guess 1 MVP's maybe a surprise there. But look, there's certainly some amazing players that played in that era there as well. And you were sort of getting into the the Tim Duncan periods there and all those sort of things in the noughties and that. But yeah, I know he's definitely one of our favourites there. How could you not like Shaq, right? He was such a great personality about him. I remember being at a Kings game back in the 90s. I think he'd only been in the league a year or two, and he made that appearance at the King Dome. Not sure if you were at that game at all, and he sort of came in, and everyone, you just saw this massive guy, and everyone was sort of standing up trying to get a look of Shaq there. And yeah, I remember, seeing blue chips at the cinemas and doing all those sort of things. So no, he's considering how long he's been retired, he's still very much well known. So I guess that people, younger people watching the game now that would know who Shaq is, that probably wouldn't have a clue who someone like Tim Duncan is, which is a shame. But those sort of guys that played in the early noughties. But Shaq's just stayed relevant over all these years, hasn't he?
Yeah, and doing a lot of philanthropy as well, small business acquisitions. He's had his finger in a lot of pies, kept himself busy post-retirement. His number's actually been retired by 3 separate teams as well, the Miami Heat, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Orlando Magic. He made the 50th and 75th.
So Cleveland didn't retire? Or?
No. So obviously there was short stints there at Phoenix, Cleveland, and Boston at the end.
Yeah, the big cactus in Phoenix, I think he dubbed himself, right?
Yeah, but that was really good with that All-Star game with the Jabberwockies in Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Phoenix was better. It was more the Boston and the Cleveland ones that probably weren't, how you'd want to remember him. But yeah, what an amazing career, right?
So who do you remember him most fondly with which team?
Isn't it? I think you've got to say those Lakers teams. There's that play with, Kobe throwing that alley-oop to him and him swinging on the ring. Look, certainly remember those early days with Orlando and, breaking backboards and, what he did with Penny and some of those guys on those early, teams that made that finals run. But yeah, Lakers for me, they were must-watch, weren't they, back in the day with him on the team.
Yep, for sure, and he'll always be remembered. And as you said, it's nice.
And we saw his statue as well, right? It was hanging up high at the whatever it's called, Crypto Arena, when we were in LA this year. So that was pretty cool to see that.
For sure. All right, let's get on with it then. Let's talk about the Olympics, man. Lot gone on, 3 games so far. So why don't I just bring up the ladder?
We're going to do basketball, or we're going to do the skateboarding and the stuff like that?
I think we'll stick to basketball today,
basketball
Robbie.
Today. All right, sounds good.
So I'm just going to bring that ladder up. Do you want to just take our audience who can't see? There's 3 groups, as we spoke about in previous weeks. So 12 teams in the men's and the women's.
For sure. So, yeah, look, for those people that, listen to the audio, just want to know how the standings are. So we should say, Woods, at the time of recording, it's Wednesday, the 31st of July. So we'll start off with the men. So in Group A, which is certainly the pool of death, as we predicted and a lot of people have, Canada's 2-0, Australia and Spain are 1-1, and Greece struggling a little bit in none from 2. Group B, Germany, who's possibly been the most impressive team so far. Obviously USA have only played 1. So Germany's 2-0. France is 2-0, only just after they held on to beat Japan in overtime today or last night. And Brazil's none from 2. And then Group C, pretty boring so far. So each team's only played the 1 game. They're all playing sort of overnight, I think. So tomorrow we'll know those results. So the US and South Sudan are 1-0, and then Puerto Rico and Serbia 0-1. So funny to see Serbia down the bottom. They obviously, USA beat them pretty convincingly there. So their for and against is going to be pretty bad. So could you imagine if South Sudan could get an upset over Serbia? Well, that would be massive, wouldn't it?
It'd be huge. So you can see there, Robbie, Canada's already qualified, as has Germany and France.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So maybe let's talk about that first game. Australia versus Spain. They got off the blocks really, really well. A great start. They've obviously labeled this the group of death. Tell us about that game, what you saw and how you felt the Australians performed.
But both these games, Woods, I've kind of written what went well and what didn't go well, I guess.
Great.
So, we beat Spain 92-80. Look, I think the first quarter for this one really set the tone. They really came out firing. We wanted that to happen. You knew you couldn't sort of come out flat in these games against such good opposition. So, love the way we started. Landale, has been amazing in both games. This game he had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and he was a plus 30 in the plus minus for the game, which I thought was huge there. Josh Giddey playing his first Olympics game was just amazing, basically. 17, 9 and 8. Looked like a veteran out there. Paddy was really good in this one. 19 points, some instant offense there. And really pleased to see Jack McVeigh making his debut. 13.7 rebounds. He was pretty active all game there. So continuing the what went well theme there. So we were 12 of 24 on threes. And honestly, I thought we stood up to some pretty dirty plays and some standard acting by Spain, which really frustrates me the way they play some of the time. So we saw, I like sort of some of the guys were getting into it. Josh Green. We saw Josh Giddey was sort of standing up to people. So thought they definitely pushed the limit a little bit, Spain, but that's obviously how we know they play. If I was looking at the bad in that game, so certainly a little bit shaky in the second half, the third quarter in particular. Didn't love the look of Will Magna in that game. He thought he looked a bit overmatched at time. He had as many fouls as he did points and rebounds combined. Also had a -18 plus minus, which I think was the worst for the Boomers. Josh Green was a little bit concerning, just had very little impact. And look, if I want to be critical on Jack McVeigh, which I don't want to be, but obviously, fouling guys on 2 3-pointers wasn't great there. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good start to the tournament there. Once the game got going, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I think we've probably all underrated Spain a little bit. Some of those veterans they've got there, they've got the man with 4 L's in his last name, Sergio Llull. And, Aldama's been really good throughout the tournament. The Herman Gomez is a decent. So, I thought that was a pretty good start to the tournament. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well. And, this Spain team has been underrated a little bit, as you spoke of. They are going through a period of transition. They've lost a few players, but they've still got veterans there. You've got Alex Abrinas, as you said, the Hernan Gomez brothers, Usman Garuba. You've got
Rudy, who's older than you.
Rudy's there. So they've still got veterans, guys that have played there before, and they weren't going to go away lightly. And I thought that Brian did a pretty good job with his rotations and coaching the team. I think they need to get a little bit more from Josh Green across both games. I think he'll get to speak a little bit about Josh Green in the second game, but they're getting basically nothing from him, offensively. He's not taking a lot of shots. So I think there's a little bit of concern there with the way Josh Green's going. It started off in that first game versus Spain, and it kind of boiled over against Canada yesterday, right?
Absolutely. So, look, it was a good start. And obviously we saw in that other game in the group of death there, Canada beat Greece, pretty handily. It wasn't, a massive blowout there, but I think they controlled that game the whole time. But you want me to do a little bit of
yeah, sure. Go
recap on last night? So, Look, I'd say anyone listening to this show would have been watching it live last night. I made a joke that anyone on our Thursday night team that's not watching the game live last night is benched for the game. So, look, I was so excited about this game. I was cheering the house down, trying not to have the TV on too loud to wake up my family there. But I guess, look, we'll start off with what went well. So we ended up losing 93-83. So we're now +2 in those 2 games. And obviously that could be something to really look out for there. So what I thought went well, what was good in this game, thought it was a really good first half again, the same as game 1. I thought it was very much played at our tempo, which I think was important there. Look, Lando was huge again, wasn't he? With 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and shooting 70%. Yep. So he looked great on the low block there. He was sort of, hooking over both shoulders and that. And he looked pretty much unstoppable. Probably, if not the best, the second best player in that game there. Josh Giddey was really good again, especially in the first half, 19, 7, and 6. Hit 3 3-pointers, which I think is really important as well. He's got that confidence now. He seems to be shooting without thinking about it too much. So maybe it's the shorter distance, not quite sure. So, and I thought Dante Exum was a massive microwave off the bench in this game. Gave us a real energy, didn't he? He came on, just pushed the pace, got to the rim at ease at times. And I thought Dyson Daniels was really good at both ends again. So, really looking forward to see him in a Hawks jersey there. What went bad, and look, there's probably a little bit more than obviously the first game, given that we lost it. Look, way too many turnovers in the second half, which we had 18 for the game. I think 14 of those were in the second half, and became a little bit Opals-esque where we couldn't hold on to the ball. I thought Paddy was bad at both ends, to be honest. Look, it's interesting with him. I think he's someone, he does try really hard on defense. I wouldn't say he's a lazy defender. I mean, we saw a couple of times he made some decent defensive plays there, but he just struggles with the size and, the strength of some of these players at this stage of his career there. And yeah, it was a little bit concerning. If he's not hitting his shot and he's not playing defense, well, should he really be getting the length of minutes he's getting, particularly in this matchup against Canada there. Josh Green again, Woods, so no impact. He's yet to score this tournament. So
really concerning.
It really is, yeah. I mean, I think we really had high hopes of him. Probably put him on the same level as Dyson Daniels coming into this, but I think Dyson Daniels gone up a level and Green's been pretty
I'll tell you what, Robbie, when we look back at the FIBA World Cup, not a lot of positives to take out of that, but one of them was Josh Green's play. And you thought that was the evolution of him at the Boomers level. And he's regressed over these last 2 games. You would have thought that he would take his game to the next level, and we'd expected a lot more from him. So expect him to really step up against
I thought his shooting
Greece.
would have improved as well. We saw some signs with him with the Mavericks this year. He was able to hit those corner threes and that, but seems a little bit tentative out there. It feels like he hasn't fully found his role there. So look, I really hope that improves the next game, because who knows, there might only be one game.
We need it.
Absolutely do. Look, I don't want to sort of go too much on the coaching stuff. I thought there were some strange sub patterns in this game, if I'm being honest. And I do think that they're playing too many players. Why some of these guys are playing, less than 30 minutes, it just amazes me, right? They had a full, basically 3 days off in between games. They played Saturday night and then they played Tuesday night. So it was basically, 72 hours between games there. So I think you've got to play some of your key guys more minutes there. Dare I say it, Woods, I think I messaged you in the game when RJ Barrett was just carving us up there. Geez, Matisse Thybulle would have looked good on him. And that's the one that really does frustrate me. Look, we don't want to harp on it again. I think we've made our feelings pretty clear about that. But I don't know why you pick guys like Joe Ingles and Delhi. You're not playing them. So why not have someone like Matisse Thybulle that you could have just put on? RJ Barrett was unstoppable in that game. I mentioned Landale's probably the second best player. That's because RJ Barrett was the best player in the game. And I think Thybulle, that's why you have someone like that on the team, right? Someone that's big enough and physical enough that can match what RJ Barrett was doing.
Robert, after some really good performances in the practice games and in the first game versus Spain, a little bit of that talk about Thybulle being left off the roster had softened. We weren't hearing that anymore. But watching that game yesterday, I think a lot of people would have been front and center of their minds thinking...
It was so evident, was it? He's not playing Joe Ingles. There's no point you could have... Joe Ingles isn't going to come on and lock someone up or get hot from outside sort of thing. He's very much a role player at this stage of his career. So for me, that position should have been a Golding or it should have been a Thybulle, someone that's a specialist at their position. Just keep that last spot for a specialist, You don't need to play him every game, but, you could have brought him in last night and just unleashed him on Barrett. You could have brought Golding in, to try and hit some of those threes at the end where we were clearly struggling. I thought the three-point shooting was a little bit ordinary in that second half then. I know that was some of the concerns we had with our outside shooting ability there. But
right.
Look, I don't want to be all doom and gloom though, right, Woods? I thought it was a pretty good effort. We're playing the second-ranked team in the world, a team with, a top 4 or 5 player in the world at the moment, and then you've got some great defenders. RJ Barrett, you've got Dort, you've got some of the the big inside guys. I thought Birch was really handy for them when they brought him on. Yeah.
And played minimal minutes up till then, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of positives to be taken out of this for sure. I want to throw something at you, right?
And the three at the end hurt by bloody Dylan Brooks as well.
That really did hurt.
3 points is huge. And you can't. Why didn't they foul him? You should have. Firstly, you should have just knocked him over. I would have liked to have done that.
I would have fouled him before.
100%.
You give him 1 or 2 free throws instead of the 3, 100%. Right?
What did I say about that guy? That guy needs a hug, right? Seriously, what is that guy's problem? Oh, goodness.
I was going to pick something apart that you said, right? Dante Exum is in the prime of his career, right? He's a reliable three-point shooter now. He's a microwave off the bench. Everything he does on the basketball court for the Boomers is positive. Is there is food for thought to elevate him into that starting position and bring Paddy off the bench? Paddy, I don't want him not to play. I just think that it'll take a bit of pressure off him here. And it'll be, let's ride the guy that's doing well at the moment, and that's Dante, right?
I definitely like that idea, Woods. I mean, look, Dante is a much better defender. He's way bigger. He's way more physical, can get to the basket. Still a pretty good shooter, and that's been sort of part of that rebirth of the second half of his career as he improved shot. So I like the idea of that. And bring, I mentioned Exum was the microwave of that team. Make Paddy the microwave sort of guy. Bring him on against other teams' second units, right? And sort of bring him on, against some of the lesser players and let him sort of control the offense. But I like the idea of that. And think about how big that backcourt would be. Josh Giddey and Dante, you got
and Dyson as well, man. Those
Dyson
three,
at the
man,
three was like 6'9", so that would be a massive team. Yeah, so it is food for thought. I do like the idea of that one. I feel like Gorgon is pretty set in his ways though, and that's what worries me. I think he's probably playing K too much. I think he played
all right. Let's talk about Nick K.
All right, should we do a Nick K segment?
Okay, so let's talk about that 10-point game yesterday. We were right there, right?
Yeah.
At times I thought Nick K did some good things, but do you think if Nick K doesn't play at all yesterday, do you think that's a 10-point ball game?
That's the whole point. He's not a horrible player. He's not costing us when he's out there. He's a smart player. He's got a high basketball IQ. There's no doubt about that. But I just feel like, had you had someone like Thybulle, you could have just found more minutes. Like Duop Reith, would you have not had Duop Reith out there over him?
Just don't even play Magnay anymore. He came on, he did this little a hook over his right shoulder, A-balled it, and then
hasn't looked great in the 2 games. Look, there might be a role for him against Greece. I know they've got some bigger sort of guys, but I agree. Maybe a bit less K and maybe a bit more Duop in that role, hopefully.
Well, I've watched both Greece games. Let's look forward to the game versus Greece day after tomorrow on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Now Greece has lost to Spain and USA. you would think that Australia should be in the driver's seat if they play like they have in the first two games to take the W here, right?
I think I read today, Wood. So obviously, if we win that game, we're through to the quarterfinals. I think if we lose, we have to lose by 8 points or less, if I'm not mistaken. So it's around that 8 or 9 point margin. Again, that 3-point shot by Dylan Brooks, pushed it out a little bit there. So we can, and that's assuming that Canada beats Spain, right? So that's the first thing that needs to happen. I'm not sure if that's before our game Friday night or after. We'll have to check that. But
you've also got to remember that you want to qualify probably up there, because I don't know how it works with the randomization
USA, the next round, right? Yeah.
You don't want to play, if you come 6th, 7th, 8th, you've got a much higher chance of playing the USA than you.
Yeah, I haven't looked too far forward, but I think you're right. Like USA obviously got that massive for and against. We expect that they'll go 3-0. You could see them really have a big win against Puerto Rico, I would have thought. So they'd essentially go in first and then play the team that's ranked
probably
8th.
Like a Sudan or something. Maybe would be right. Maybe. But can you play against a team that you've already played in the first round in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think we need to find out about that. The problem is they change the way they do this every year. So it's
just so it's not rigged, so people don't lose games on purpose for seeding. That's what they do.
That's why they have tried to change it over the years too. But look, I think we probably don't want to look too far ahead. Let's just go in and win that game, right? We should win that game. I think probably, they have been pretty ordinary. I didn't think Greece were great against Spain yesterday. Giannis looked a little bit kind of, disinterested at times. I think we can really formulate a game plan to stop Giannis there. You literally just got to try and pack in the key there, leave him outside. And if he's doing these drives where he gets downhill and just tries to take it in, you just got to, stay in front of him. I know it's easier said than done, but throw the double team at him, make him be a passer. And, they do have some guys that can shoot on that team, but I think you can't let Giannis come in and dominate. I think Spain did a pretty good job, even though he got his numbers there. But that's obviously got to be the focus, right? Just trying to slow him down.
For sure. And I mentioned to you yesterday offline that the FIBA game's a lot different for Giannis, right? The NBA, you've got the keyway open. There's defensive 3 seconds there, right? So you mentioned it as well. We've got Duop Reith and Will Magnay potentially a role to play. You've got 10 fouls to give there, right?
What did I say to you? I think I either said last week or maybe offline. I said, so we go to that game against Greece, right? Giannis is the best player in the game. I honestly believe the Boomers have got the next best 8 players. So, they've got the best player. We've got the next best 8 players. So that should be enough in a team sport like basketball to get that W.
The next thing I was about to say is how top-heavy that Greece team is. They've got Giannis, basically no one else. And Nick Kalitas is coming to the end of his career.
Yeah, he's not looking great, is he? Yeah.
There's not much there. So, looking good. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm just going to bring up... Thanks for that, Robbie. Really, really excited about Friday. I think the whole nation will be watching closely, right? Yeah. Let's move on to the women's then. And very, very tough to watch. I just brought it up there on the screen. Do you see that? Do you want to just take the audience through how the women's table's looking? Yeah, for sure. And look, obviously, a lot of these games will be playing tonight, so each team's just played the one game. But starting off in Group A, so we've got Serbia and Spain on 1-0, and we've got China and Puerto Rico 0-1. Group B, we've got France and Nigeria, 1-0, and Australia and Canada 0-1. And then in Group C, USA and Germany 1-0. I saw a bit of that USA game, Woods. That team is ridiculous, honestly. Yeah. They'll just romp it in this tournament. And then Belgium and Japan are 0-1. So, as I mentioned, I think maybe Group A and Group C are all playing today and sort of overnight, I think. And then the Opals are tomorrow night at 9:30 against Canada. So, I guess this is where we debrief the Opals game, right? Man, it was tough, right?
Well, I've kind of done that same thing again about what went well and what didn't went well. So I'll try and say some positive things, Woods. There's not a lot to say there. So we lost, obviously, 75-62, so a 13-point loss. And let's face it was a huge upset there. Nigeria had a little bit to play for. They've had some incidents against Australia in the past with, featuring certain players like Liz Cambage who, really upset them a little bit. So there's no doubt there's some extra incentive for them there. In terms of the good stuff for that game, look, before I say that, Woods, we should say Beck Allen obviously pulled out, days before the tournament. So that was a pretty big loss, losing one of their WNBA stars. Positives, Alana Smith. I thought she was the real one positive there. She had 15 and 7. Thought she was really good and I think we can expect a lot more from her in the next 2 games. Sammy Whitcomb, I thought was pretty solid as well. She didn't shoot a great percentage, but she was handy at times. So that's pretty much it, Woods. They're the only positives I could really find from the game there. If I'm talking the bad, well, honestly, we'll start with 26 turnovers. That's just as bad as it gets, right? I thought the lack of composure and at times just simple ball handling, screens and passing. I thought it was really alarming, Woods. It was something like you'd see in a junior competition. They were struggling getting the ball over half court there. So that was really concerning there, the screens. I think everyone in the starting lineup had three or four turnovers each. And, look, Nigeria definitely did deserve it there. There's no doubt about it. I don't want to harp on again. Well, actually, no, we'll harp on it again. Loz Nicholson would have made a massive difference in that team. I don't like some of the players they've selected in that team. I thought Shiloh Hill would have been someone that could have helped out with the ball handling as well. I feel like they've gone a little bit top-heavy with the team they've got there, Woods. So, obviously, they've got Loz, they've got George, and they've got Tolo all on the bench there. So I think the three of those bigs played less than 20 minutes combined. So I'm not quite sure why Tolo didn't play more, but I just don't think you needed all three of those. Kayla George felt like she got in a little bit of an achievement award there. She has been a great servant for the Opals in the past, but I would have thought Loz Nicholson, Shiloh Hill, I'm sure there's other players I've forgotten about, would have been a lot more suited in that sort of circumstance. And we know Loz is pretty much a jack of all trades there. She's a great defender. She's a really solid ball handler. She can certainly shoot as well. Shiloh Hill's obviously, a really solid guard there and an even, a better shooter from outside. So a little bit in terms of that roster there, a lot of people are hating on the coaching in that game. I don't know. I'd like to see a second game before I sort of speak more, but got anything to add on that? Or?
Look, to be fair, you can't really blame the coach, and I said it before, 26 turnovers, shooting 40-something% from the field. I said that to you when the game was 40% from the free throw line. It's not going to win you any ball games. These are small errors that can be fixed. And look, Canada didn't look very good. I watched the game, Canada versus France is the other one in the group, right? Yeah. I watched Canada-France. Canada looked very poor. They lost by 20-plus points.
Yeah. France are obviously really good, but you're right. I think we should go in. We've got to go in and just, get that margin back. We've got to get some of that points difference back in that game.
Hey, look, I also asked you to talk to me about another team, right, other than the Australian team. So we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about the Nigerian girls, because they really brought it, right? So it's not that Australia did, struggled with the turnovers, poor free throw shooting, unforced errors, but you've got to give some credit to the Nigerian girls and the way they turned up and played, right?
Absolutely, and they were just all hitting shots, weren't they? They sort of, no one seemed like scared of the occasion in that game. You could see them; they were pumping each other up. They were really just playing with a lot of spirit and a lot of heart and emotion there. So they totally deserved the win. Crazy to think it was a double-figure margin in the end, though.
Yep. So let's get it done against Canada. That comes tomorrow night, I think, right?
Tomorrow night, 9:30 Sydney time, yeah.
All right. As I just alluded to, so I said, look, Robbie, this week, why don't you come to me and talk to me about one of the other teams that stood out for you so far in the Olympic Games, right? And I think it was the German men's team that you wanted to talk about, right? So speak on it.
Well, I've always had a bit of a love for Germany. I did German at high school, so I still speak a little bit of German there. But look, I do think these guys came a little bit under the radar, which is surprising given they won the most recent World Cup there. So they've had two great wins so far. So they beat Japan 97-77, and then they backed up last night against Brazil 86-73. So 2-0 record with a 33 points plus differential there, which is obviously massive. So yeah, definitely have a soft spot for them. They're looking wunderbar at the moment, I'd say, Woods. That would be how I'd describe it. Look, I love the depth that this team has. I think they've got weapons at both ends there. People will rightfully focus on, my boy DS17, Dennis Schroeder, and guys like Franz Wagner, but guys like Daniel Tice, Isaac Bonga, Big Opes there,
Voigtman,
Mo Wagner. Yep, they can all shoot the hell out of it, can't they? Those big guys, they can all get hot on any given game there. Dennis Schroeder's a little bit like, what we say with Fever Paddy Mills. He seems to go up a level. He was amazing in that game against Brazil. Love the way he plays on the international stage there. But I think they've got so many weapons. So you could have a game where maybe him or Franz Wagner aren't having great games. And you can get someone like Tice that might get you 20 points. Bonga's been great in both games.
He's awesome.
So someone that's obviously, we've seen him in the NBA, wasn't there a whole length of time. He's playing in Europe, I believe, now. But, I like what these guys are doing. I'm really looking forward to their final game against France. I know Schroeder came out and said he's looking forward for the French crowd to boo him the whole game there. I honestly think Germany's a team that could make it all the way to that gold medal game, Woods. And it's funny for how good they are. They did feel like they came into this tournament a little bit under the radar. What's your thoughts on Deutschland?
I think they're a fantastic team. And if you look back to the World Cup, right, that game where Australia and Germany went at it, and Australia just lost. Germany went on to get the gold, right?
Yeah.
The Boomers are not far off being there, right there with the likes of Germany, right? Veteran ball players, as you mentioned, guys that have been together for a while. It makes a difference. Well coached. And I think they're getting slept on a little bit. People forget, how well they've done recently.
I'm really looking forward to that France game, as I said, because France haven't been too impressive. I mean, they needed almost a bit of a miracle to beat Japan in overtime there. As I said, Germany beat Japan by 20. So Japan's been, that was pretty good effort to come in against France. Maybe it's that pressure of being the home country there, but I think that was our concern all along with a team like France, is maybe their guard play is not amazing there. They've obviously got some impressive bigs there, but an aging team with probably not a lot of up and coming guards there. So I would probably expect Germany to finish off 3-0 and beat France in that one.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. When's that?
So that is, I think that's the early hours of Saturday, maybe. So it's going to not be the most friendly time to watch. But
yep, it is 5 a.m. on Saturday morning.
So they might have to get up and watch that one, I would have thought.
Yeah, for sure. And Nigerian girls, I just wanted to mention them, right? Great starting five. It's a historical moment for African basketball and Nigeria. Yeah. They weren't allowed to come to the World Cup for political reasons. In Sydney, and I think Mali was the team that came and replaced them at the end. Do you remember? Okay. So they've gone through a lot. So for them to come here and do that, it's been awesome, right?
And what was the name of the player you liked? I know she was
Nakamura.
Yeah, so as soon as you mentioned that, I'm like, oh, cool, because obviously I'm a big Giants fan, as you can see by those helmets behind me. So her brother actually played for the Giants, quite a few years ago. Prince, his first name was. That was pretty cool. So that was good seeing her out there.
Yeah, 10 from 10 from the free throw line. I think she had a double in that game. So yeah,
and you like the girl with the afro too. You made that.
Oh, she's
clear
awesome.
On the group chat. Yeah,
for sure.
Nice.
All right, man. I think there's a lot that's been going on in the world of basketball, NBL and NBA. We'll get into some free agent chat next week. I thought this week, as the NBL1 draws to a close, you could give a bit of an update there on what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll talk a little bit. There has been a bit of NBL news, isn't there? So we'll save that up for next week's show and sort of put that in the quick hit segment. But I just wanted to touch base on some NBL1. Obviously, I wanted to talk about the NBL1 East, which I cover. So they've got their semis this weekend. And also wanted to talk about a little bit about the NBL1 North, which has their grand finals this week, Wood. So I'll start off in the NBL1. So NBL1 East, I should say. So the women's semi-final. So we basically got Sutherland behind Loz Nicholson and Vanessa Panousis. They shocked Albury last week. So for those that haven't seen, Albury were 20-0 during the regular season, lost the first finals game, had a second chance, lost again at home. So that was just amazing, obviously playing without the GOAT there who's in Paris. So, Loz's Sharks will take on last season's champs Norths on Saturday. So I'd love to get to that game and watch that, but I'm not going to be able to. So I think that could be a really good game. I'm probably tipping the Sharks to get a bit of an upset in that one. In the other matchup, we'll see Manly travel to Newcastle to play the Falcons there, who's led by, of course, Nicole Munger there. Really looking forward to both of those matchups. I could see those going either way there. Really think the women's NBL1 East has improved a lot. So for those that get a chance to watch those, they're sort of Saturday evening, so get on those. In the men's woods, we've got COE made the semi, so all the young guns will be taking on Maitland. So you'll see some of these guys like, Dash Daniels, younger brother of Dyson. We'll see, the young Brogan in there and some of these other sort of Sons of Guns and everything else like that. So I probably think COE might maybe beat Maitland in that one. Maitland seemed to get close each year, but can't quite go all the way. And then in the other semi there, Canberra will host a red-hot Sydney Comets. So don't know if you've seen any of the Sydney Comets, Woods, but Wally Bales is just going nuts lately. He's just dominating. I'm not sure if it's enough to get the MVP because he did miss a few games, but he's doing it at both ends. His speed is he's faster than I even imagined he was. He'll let someone get in front with the ball and he'll just attack from behind and steal the ball from behind and then overtake him again. So it's like he's got the turbo button on him there. And Obi, I always never say his name. Che. Yeah, Obi Che's been really good as well. I think he's a chance to get an NBL spot given
I'd love to see that.
He's a local. Yeah, he's looking good out there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Sydney Comets maybe get a bit of an upset there. They're probably better than what their regular season records suggested there. So, as I mentioned, all four of those matchups really excited about in the NBL1 East. And just quickly, Woods, the NBL1 North. So they've got their grand finals this week. They do a best of three, which is a bit different than every conference does a little bit differently, which I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. But in the men's, we've got the men's grand final, we've got Mackay taking on Brisbane. So Mackay have been the standout team in the comp all year. So they're led by a number of big names, Wood. So Todd Blanchfield, Manny Malou, one of your old favourites, Emmett Nair and Isaac White. So they're a pretty star-studded team. But they're going against a Brisbane team that's led by MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, Stan McDaniel. So he just had an amazing season in the NBL1 North. So Look, I expect Mackay to take this one, but I think it could be pretty good. I'm definitely keen to watch some of this as well. I think there's some pretty good matchups there. Then the NBL1 North Women's, we've actually got a rematch of last year's grand final. So Northside will be looking to go back-to-back over Rockhampton. Prediction for me with that one, I think behind MVP AJ Johnson, that the Wizards will indeed go back-to-back. So, yeah, a little bit of a NBL1 wrap to finish. So maybe we'll sort of talk about how some of those went next week if we get a chance, maybe talk about some of the other conferences as well. But, yeah, loving this time of year. And, of course, that all comes to a head, I think, in the Sunshine Coast next month where they have the NBL1 Nationals, where all the winners of these conferences go and play there. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
And, of course, former Adelaide 36er, Manny Malou. Great to see him doing well. Great to see him doing well.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of that pack left. I think about 12 cards left of that 35
Let's
pack.
finish it. Well, we've got time. Let's finish them off, yeah. And then we'll do another old school pack again, because these ones are sort of good, but I think we prefer maybe the 90s ones, don't we? But yeah, let's see what we've got. Yeah, I was thinking, I might do some show and tell soon for some of these cards I'm getting, even though you never respond to my messages when I send you the pictures of the cards that I received that day.
No, I see them.
I know you've seen them, you just never respond.
I don't know, because you're sending so many of them. So what about at the end of next week's episode? Yeah. You do the cards at the end of next week's episode. How does that sound? Like that. Yeah, right? Cool. All right, cool. All right. Great point guard. Kind of just fizzled out of the league. Not so long ago, he was at Detroit. He was famously part of that 3-guard rotation at Phoenix that never worked.
Brandon Knight? He was famously dunked on by what's his name as
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan, yeah. Nice. Yeah, he did fade out pretty good. How old is he? Because he did seem to...
1991, so 8 years my junior. He would be 32, 33, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's not like he's too old, isn't he? Yeah, he's definitely fizzled out.
And he was borderline all-star one year, right? Yeah. And he missed that layup. Remember that wide-open layup he missed in the playoffs once?
Yeah.
All right. His father played in the NBA. This is obviously a 2016 card for the Golden State Warriors, a hyphenated surname. Big man from North Carolina.
His dad played.
His dad
had the same name.
Yeah. I don't know why he fizzled out, because he had such a promising start to his career. 1993, he'd be 29 at the moment. Doesn't say. I can't see his number. Oh, number 20.
Number 20. Not Troy Murphy.
James Michael McAdoo.
Oh, well, yeah. No, he did fizzle out pretty quick, didn't he?
Yeah, and he had a father, right?
Yeah, Bob McAdoo.
Yeah, Bob McAdoo, yep.
Yeah.
Little lefty point guard that's just survived in the league somehow. You know, he's not the most skillful player. He doesn't do anything that well, but he's a good teammate, a good guy to have on your bench. Campaign.
The sign with the Knicks, I think, recently, right? Yeah. So, yeah, that must be an early card there. He was like, he was famous for his dancing early on and stuff, right? He was, was that energy sort of guy with OKC and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Bit of a Jason Hart type journeyman,
he keeps
right?
getting contracts too.
Yeah. Great player. His career fizzled out. He retired very recently. We talked about his retirement on Throwback Hoops. He got a championship with the Golden State Warriors, known for his time with the Wizards and Bulls.
Otto gets you Blotto. Yeah, nice.
And who does he look like?
Wilt Chamberlain, right? And you've got to love someone that you can spell the name backwards and still the same, right? So always love those. So, yeah, he was a pretty handy player.
Yeah, like, what's my middle name?
Is that the same, is it? Nagan, yeah, N-A-G. It is too. Wow, nice. Woody Otto.
Okay, really sad. We talked about that Spanish team going into a state of transition. You would think that at the age of 33, 34, this man would have had a role to play this Olympic Games and in the NBA, but not a lot has been heard from him since he took an indefinite leave from the game of basketball. But he would be the starting point guard on the Spanish team. Yes, Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. He's getting on a bit. Would he still be the starter? Like, he's got to be about 40 now, right?
33.
That it?
Yep.
33.
Yep. 1990. He's not even that.
Yeah, so 34, 33, 34.
34, yeah.
Well, you're right. So, look, he hasn't officially retired, so it'd be interesting to see what maybe happened there, whether it's some sort of illness we don't know about or something. But, yeah, we'd love to see him back. He was always a fun player.
This is a special insert card. It's a jersey card. It's a throwback card. It's got his jersey on the back in the background. Okay, one of the greatest of all time. Arguably the greatest ever player to take the hardwood.
Well, it's not arguably if it's Michael Jordan, right?
No.
That's not. So, LeBron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful card, by the way. Look at that.
That is a nice card. There's no argument about it. He's not the greatest player, but he's certainly in the conversation.
No, but exactly. But before, even if...
2 to 5.
Look, honestly.
That is a nice card. What does that say? Has it got a number on the back or anything? So
yeah, number. Yeah, it says number 13. I think it's like there's only a few of these made, right? And this is number 13.
Put that in a plastic sleeve if you got some. That might be worth a few bucks.
Yeah, I will put it in a plastic sleeve. Okay. What a legend. So much longevity. Finished off with our Hawks in 2015-16. He actually had a really good year with the Memphis Grizzlies. Vince Carter.
Yeah, absolute champion of the game. I got his rookie card last week, so that was one I had to get in the collection.
Still in the league. Now he has very little hair. Just finds a role at the end of a bench. Has a brother also is played in the NBA. The center.
Cody Zeller.
Yeah.
He's with the Hawks now, right? He was in the Dyson Daniels trade. So he's probably the reason he's on the Hawks, that they let go of my boy Bruno Fernando today, which I'm dirty about, Woods. You know, I bought his Bruno Fernando's jersey at that Hawks game, so I'm dirty.
Honestly, at this point in their careers, I would rather have Bruno Fernando over 100%. Cody Zeller.
Mate, you could almost trade, not going off tangent a little bit, but maybe trade Clint Capella and save some salary cap and just elevate Bruno Fernando there, and you're probably not going to lose a whole lot, I wouldn't have thought. He showed a lot of stuff last year.
Yeah, for sure. I agree, man. That's someone will pick him up. He's going to have a job in the league this year. Okay, this guy, Indiana Pacers, played for 3 years, 3 or 4 years at Indiana Pacers from memory. His father was in the NBA as well. His father was a former first-round pick of the Boston Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. This guy has had a great career in Asia, in China specifically, becoming a Chinese all-star. He's in his 30s now.
Jersey number?
Jersey number 3. He only played for the Indiana Pacers for 3 years. He went to Oregon. Yep. 2nd round pick.
Can't mention this one. No.
Joe Young.
Wow. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have got that
Father,
one.
Michael Young, right?
Okay.
Currently played last night against the Australians. A lot of people have said he's over the hill and he doesn't have a future in the NBA anymore. He's past it. But he's shown some signs as a big man in this World Cup, in the first 2 games for Canada, that he might still have something in the tank. Yes.
That dunk tip-in he had was pretty nice against the Boomers. He sort of caught it with one hand, put it in the other one and dunked it in. But
he's been all right, man.
Yeah,
Both games so far, he's been decent.
Him and that Birch sort of combo. Maybe we're a little bit worried about their bigs, but no, he's been serviceable.
He's serviceable. Sure. Yeah, he's been starting, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2016, not many of us thought that this pretty boy would actually become the player he has become 8 years on. The light-skinned Mamba, as Stephen A. Smith calls him.
Kelly Oubre.
No, the light-skinned Mamba. Come on, man. Another very good-looking guy who you don't like very much. The light-skinned Mamba. Come on, man. Don't you know who Stephen Smith calls the light-skinned Mamba?
I don't really listen much when Stephen A. Smith talks. I probably haven't heard that.
Okay, who's the light-skinned brother, good-looking, who can put the ball in the hoop? Like Kobe. Shooting guard. On the Olympic team now.
Devin Booker.
Devin.
Okay. I've never heard that name. Okay. That's not a rookie card, is it? That must be like his second year or something.
Yeah. It says on the back he took the 2016 Summer League by storm. So he must be one of his first couple of years, right? He wouldn't be playing Summer League, you know.
Nice.
Yeah. Legend. Probably most known for his time with Philly, but actually won a grand final MVP, surprisingly, with Golden State.
Iggy.
Regular.
Now, will he get in the Hall of Fame? That's a big question, Woods.
No.
Fair enough.
One-time All-Star.
Yeah, it's going to be, the stats are up against it, but yeah, having that finals MVP is pretty big, isn't it?
Possible.
Is that it? Why don't you just recap who we got there? We feel like we've got some okay players in that.
Yep, so we've got a very good Devin Booker, Dwight Powell, Joe Young, Cody Zeller, Vince Carter, LeBron James, Ricky Rubio, Otto Porter, Cameron Payne, James Michael McAdoo, and Brandon Knight.
McAdoo and Joe Young were the only two I didn't get, so I didn't think that was too bad, right?
Yep.
That was fun.
Yep. Okay, cool, man. So, great. So, a few big days ahead for Australian basketball. Why don't you take the audience out before we finish up on where we can be found and all that jazz, right?
Hey, Woods, before I do that, you remember we spoke last week about a certain NBA Jam arcade machine that I'm going to be getting? Well, I got a call from the courier today saying it's arriving tomorrow. So,
nice.
Very excited about that.
A lot of show and tell then.
Might have to pop around. Yeah, definitely. You might have to pop around and have a look at that. So I can't wait to get onto that and play some old school NBA Jam. But no, look, yeah, really appreciate everyone tuning in. So pleasing that the subscriptions and people listening and watching the show are continuing to go up each Woods, and we love doing this. And having all the people that reach out to us and support us, we really appreciate that. So just a reminder to please like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, we can be followed on X at Throwback Hoops, on Instagram, throwback.hoops, and our email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. You want to do Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon is a nice way to support us if you'd like. Just jump on Patreon, look for Throwback Hoops, and we appreciate anything you can do to support us.
Hey, Woods, I should say, if anyone wants to send us some unopened packs of basketball cards, do it. We've had a couple of people do that over the journey. I'm not sure how the stocks are going, so send them through.
They're actually running out a little bit.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out on the show, and we'll open whatever error of packs you send there. So yeah, that'd be great if people did that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So any final thoughts, Robbie?
Yeah, like you said, just a big couple of days coming up for Australian basketball. Look, I'm pretty confident the Opals will right the ship tomorrow and go to that 1-1 record, and then it's all going to depend on other results and margins when they play France. But look, go Boomers! Just a huge game for us to get over Greece there. Maybe go and get a souvlaki or something, on Friday night, Woods. The Greek theme there, and then we'll go out and hopefully do the business against them. So get out and support those NBL1 games that I mentioned as well. There's some big games coming up this weekend.
Yep, and we're getting very, very close to the start of the NBL season, so
just
all
over
the team
a month,
previews,
right until the
everything. Probably going to start the team previews now.
We better start soon, yeah.
Right?
We have to do 2 shows a week at this rate. Yeah.
Anyway, from Robbie and I and the team at Throwback Hoops, until next week, take it easy.